Welcome. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Perhaps you've had a long day, or perhaps you're someone who finds peace in drifting through history and distant lands as your eyes grow heavy. Either way, this gentle journey is for you. You have nothing to do but rest. Let your breathing slow. Let your mind relax into the stories of stone and time. Tonight, we're not simply learning history. We're walking along one of the most extraordinary structures ever built by human hands, a wall so vast that it stretches across mountains and deserts, bending with the landscape like the spine of some ancient creature. The Great Wall of China, a monument to ambition, protection, and the quiet persistence of a civilization that built something so immense it can be seen from space. But it is so much more than stone. It is a story of empires and dynasties, of fear and hope, of soldiers standing watch through endless nights, of merchants traveling trade routes, of families living in watchtowers, and of a wall that has stood longer than most nations have existed. We'll walk this wall together tonight, from its earliest beginnings to its transformation into one of the wonders of our modern world. We'll hear of the hands that built it, the reasons it was built, the secrets it holds, and what it means to us now. Some of what you hear may surprise you. Some may spark curiosity as you drift towards sleep. And if this calm exploration helps you rest, helps you end your day in wonder and peace, perhaps you'll return another night. Now, let's begin our journey along the wall. Chapter 1. The Beginning of Walls. Before there was the Great Wall, there were smaller walls, much smaller. The story of the Great Wall of China does not begin with a single visionary moment or a grand proclamation. It begins quietly over many centuries with the human instinct to build barriers, to separate, to protect. And so we travel back in time, far back, to understand not just what was built, but why it was necessary to build it all. Imagine the landscape of ancient China. Picture it slowly as if you are drifting through mist and time. The land is vast, so vast that it seems to have no end. To the south and east, there are rich valleys and fertile plains where agriculture flourishes, where civilizations take root and grow. The Yellow River winds through the landscape like a ribbon of life, bringing water and silt that makes the soil rich and dark. Here in these regions, early Chinese dynasties developed. They built cities. They cultivated crops. They organized themselves into organized societies with rulers and armies and systems of governance. But to the north and west, the landscape changes. The land becomes harsh. Grasslands stretch endlessly, rolling like waves. Deserts appear vast and empty with sand dunes that shift with the wind. Mountains rise up suddenly, their peaks touching clouds, their slopes steep and unforgiving. And in these harsh northern and western regions, people lived too, but they lived differently. They were nomadic peoples, herding animals across the grasslands, moving with the seasons, living in a way that was fundamentally at odds with the settled civilization that was developing in the south and east. The early dynasties of China grew increasingly wealthy and powerful. Their armies grew larger, their territories expanded. But there was always this boundary, this line between the settled, agricultural world and the nomadic, pastoral world. And that boundary was often tense. The nomadic peoples would sometimes raid the settled lands, seeking resources, seeking to acquire the goods and riches that the farmers and merchants had accumulated. The settled peoples, meanwhile, grew anxious about these raids. They wanted security. They wanted to protect what they had built. And so, over time and in different regions, they began to build walls. These were not yet the Great Wall. They were much smaller structures, simple barriers of rammed earth, stacked stone or wood. Some were built around individual cities, others protected trade routes or mountain passes. They were built by various kingdoms and states, each one trying to protect its own territory. The states of the Warring States period, roughly from the 7th to the 3rd century before the Common Era, built many such walls. Each state had its own walls. Some were well maintained. Others crumbled and were abandoned. These walls served a purpose, yes, but they were fragmented, disconnected, isolated barriers built for specific local needs. But imagine, if you will, the scale of ambition that began to grow. Imagine a ruler looking at these scattered walls and having a vision. What if, Instead of many small walls, there was one great wall, one unified structure that would protect not just one kingdom but an entire empire. What if that wall could stretch across the very boundary between the civilized and the wild, the settled and the nomadic? What if it could stretch so far that it seemed to embrace an entire world? This vision would take centuries to realize. It would require the efforts of millions of workers. It would consume resources on a scale almost unimaginable. It would demand the coordination of emperors and generals, architects and laborers. But that vision, once it took hold, would not let go. It would drive dynasties forward. It would shape the course of history. And it would ultimately result in one of the greatest structures ever created by human hands. Chapter 2: The Qin Dynasty and the First Great Wall. Now we move forward in time. The year is approximately 221 before the Common Era. The Warring States period has ended. A man named Qin Shi Huang has unified China for the first time in its history. This is a profound moment, a moment of transition, a moment when all the scattered kingdoms, all the warring factions, all the separate identities are drawn together under one rule. Qin Shi Huang is often called the first emperor of unified China. He is a figure of tremendous energy and vision. He is ruthless in some ways, visionary in others. He understands power. He understands organization. He understands what it takes to hold together an empire as vast and diverse as China. And one of the first great projects he undertakes is the construction of walls. He does not start from nothing. He does not demolish the existing walls of the former kingdoms. Rather, he sees opportunity. He sees that these walls, scattered as they are, can be connected. They can be reinforced. They can be extended. And so his military commanders and administrators set about the task of connecting these walls into one unified system. The walls that Qin Shi Huang's workers build and connect stretch for thousands of li, ancient Chinese measurements of distance. They extend from the coast in the east to the deserts and mountains in the west. The wall is built of different materials in different regions. Where stone is available, the wall is made of stone. In other regions, brick is used. In still other places, where neither stone nor brick is readily available, the wall is built of rammed earth, packed soil that, when compressed and solidified, becomes nearly as hard as stone. The construction of this wall is a monumental undertaking. It requires enormous quantities of materials. It requires the labor of vast numbers of workers. Some of these workers are soldiers. Some are peasants and farmers who are conscripted for the work. Some are prisoners serving out sentences through labor. The conditions are often harsh. The work is difficult and dangerous. Men die on the wall. They die from exhaustion. They die from accidents. They die from disease. The wall, in this way, becomes not just a structure of stone and earth, but a structure built upon sacrifice and suffering. Yet the wall that emerges from this tremendous effort is magnificent. Even in this early form, before centuries of additions and renovations, it is an impressive achievement. The wall is built to be a barrier against invasion. It has watchtowers spaced at regular intervals, allowing soldiers to see approaching forces from great distances. There are gates and checkpoints where the wall crosses major trade routes or mountain passes. These gates are defended by garrisons of soldiers. The wall is designed not just to block, but to control. It allows the empire to regulate who enters and who leaves. It gives the empire the ability to tax trade goods moving along the Silk Road. It provides a clear, physical demarcation of empire. This is where China ends and the outside world begins. Qin Shi Huang does not live to see the wall completed. He dies in 210 before the Common Era, having ruled for only about 11 years. But the legacy of his wall continues. The Qin dynasty itself does not last long after his death. Within years, it collapses. A new dynasty, the Han dynasty, rises in its place, but the wall remains. And the subsequent dynasties do not abandon it. They maintain it. They repair it. Some sections they rebuild entirely. They add to it. They extend it further. The wall becomes not just a monument to Qin Shi Huang's ambition, but a permanent feature of the Chinese Empire. It becomes something that future generations will see not as optional, but as essential. Chapter 3. The Han Dynasty and Expansion. We move forward now, perhaps 300 years. The Han Dynasty has been ruling China for 2 centuries. It is a period of prosperity and expansion. Trade flourishes. The empire extends its influence westward along routes that will eventually become known as the Silk Road. Art and literature flourish. Philosophy deepens. It is a golden age in many ways. But like all dynasties, the Han Dynasty faces challenges. To the north, there are still the nomadic peoples, now primarily the Xiongnu, a powerful confederation of tribes. The relationship between the Han Empire and the Xiongnu is complicated. Sometimes they trade peacefully. Sometimes they raid and war. The Han Dynasty, being more wealthy and sophisticated, often prefers to manage this relationship through a combination of military strength and diplomacy. They send tribute to the Xiongnu. They arrange marriages between Han princesses and Xiongnu leaders, attempting to forge family ties and political alliances. But they also maintain military readiness, and they maintain and extend the wall. During the Han Dynasty, the wall is extended further to the west. Soldiers and workers build new sections of wall, pushing the frontier of the empire outward, extending the line of demarcation between the civilized and the wild further and further into the western landscape. These extensions are not always permanent. Some sections are built, used for a time, and then abandoned as the political situation changes. But the general trajectory is one of expansion. The wall grows longer. It reaches further. The Han Dynasty is also a period of innovation in wall construction. Over time, techniques improve. The walls built during this period are often more sophisticated than those of the Qin. They are better engineered. The watchtowers are more strategically placed. The gates are more carefully designed. The wall becomes not just a barrier, but a system of defense and control that operates with increasing efficiency. It is during the Han Dynasty that the role of the wall begins to shift slightly. Yes, it is still a defense against invasion, but it is also increasingly a mechanism for controlling trade. The Silk Road is beginning to develop as a major route of commerce. Merchants from distant lands want to travel through China. The Han Dynasty sees opportunity in this trade. Taxes can be collected. Luxury goods can be acquired. Knowledge and culture can be exchanged. But the empire also sees the need to control this trade, to ensure that certain goods do not enter the empire without permission, to maintain the flow in ways that benefit the state. The wall serves this purpose. Merchants must pass through gates in the wall. At these gates, officials inspect goods. Tariffs are collected. Records are kept. The wall becomes, in a sense, a vast customs barrier. It is still a military installation, but it is also an economic one. It serves the needs of the state in multiple ways. During this period, the wall is often staffed not just by soldiers, but by administrators, clerks, and officials. These men spend their careers working on the wall, maintaining records, managing the flow of trade, conducting military patrols, watching for threats. Many of them never leave the wall. They are born on it, live on it, and die on it. They build communities around the watchtowers and gates. Families live there. Markets develop. The wall, which might seem from a distance to be a purely military structure, becomes, up close, a complex social environment where many different lives intersect. Chapter 4. Dynasties and the Pattern of History. We must pause now and rest in reflection. As we drift through the centuries, we begin to see a pattern emerging. The wall is not something that is built once and then forgotten. It is something that must be continuously maintained, continuously repaired, continuously adapted. This is true of many great structures, but it seems to be especially true of the Great Wall. The reason for this constant maintenance is simple, yet profound. The wall is built in an environment that is fundamentally hostile to human structures. Wind and rain, heat and cold, earthquakes and floods, all of these natural forces work constantly to wear down the wall. The materials that make up the wall, stone, brick, earth, all weather and decay over time. The wall is also subject to attack. Enemies attempt to destroy it. Sections are damaged and must be rebuilt. And then there is the simple matter of obsolescence. Military technology changes. The threats that the wall was designed to address evolve. What was an effective defense in one era may become ineffective in another. As we move through history, we see this pattern repeated again and again. Different dynasties take control of China. Some are strong and invest heavily in the wall. Others are weaker, and sections of the wall are neglected. During times of prosperity, the wall is extended and improved. During times of crisis, resources are diverted away from wall construction to other needs. But the wall itself remains. It is too valuable to abandon. It is too important to the defense and control of the empire. After the Han Dynasty, there is a period of disunity. Different kingdoms and dynasties rise and fall. The wall falls into disrepair in many sections. It is abandoned in others, but this period does not last forever. Eventually, new dynasties emerge, the Sui dynasty, the Tang dynasty, and they recognize the value of the wall. They invest in it again. They rebuild sections. They extend it further. And so the pattern continues. Build, maintain, repair, extend. Build, maintain, repair, extend. Through the centuries, through the reigns of countless emperors, through the lives of millions of workers and soldiers, the wall persists. It grows, it changes, it adapts, but it endures. Chapter 5. The Ming Dynasty and the Great Wall we know today. Now we come to a pivotal moment in the history of the wall. We travel forward many centuries, to the year 1368, when a new dynasty rises to power. The Ming Dynasty. And with the Ming Dynasty comes a new era of wall construction and extension that will ultimately create most of the Great Wall that exists today. When the Ming Dynasty begins, China has been fragmented. The country has been divided between different groups. There has been conflict and chaos. The new Ming emperor, like Qin Shi Huang before him, seeks to unify the empire. He seeks to create order out of chaos. And he too recognizes that a strong wall, a unified wall system, is essential to that goal. But the Ming Dynasty faces a different threat than previous dynasties. The threat they face comes primarily from the north, from the Mongols. The Mongols had previously ruled China. The Yuan Dynasty was a Mongol dynasty, but the Ming has driven them out and established Han Chinese rule once again. However, the Mongols still exist as a powerful force to the north. They are well organized. They have sophisticated military tactics. They have cavalry that is among the finest in the world. They represent a genuine and ongoing threat. In response to this threat, the Ming Dynasty undertakes the greatest wall-building project in history. They do not simply maintain and repair the walls of previous dynasties. They build new walls. They reinforce old sections. They create a wall system of unprecedented complexity and scale. The walls built by the Ming Dynasty are in many ways more advanced than previous walls. The Ming engineers have refined the technology of wall construction. They understand better how to distribute weight. They understand better how to construct towers that can withstand both siege and weather. The Ming Wall is built to last. It is built with better materials. It is built with more care. The Ming Wall also follows a different route in some places than previous walls. Rather than following the route of old Qin walls, the Ming Wall sometimes takes a more strategic path, running closer to the population centers that it is designed to protect. This makes defense more efficient. It means that forces can be mobilized more quickly in response to threats. The wall becomes not just a barrier, but an integrated part of the Ming military strategy. The construction of the Ming Wall is an enormous undertaking. Millions of workers are employed over the course of centuries. The wall stretches for more than 13,000 li, nearly 2,000 kilometers, across the northern frontier of China. It runs through some of the most difficult terrain on Earth. It crosses mountains so steep that in some places, the wall seems to climb almost straight up. It traverses deserts where the heat is intense and water is scarce. It runs through valleys and along ridges. The workers who build this wall labor under conditions that are often extremely difficult. And yet the Ming Wall that emerges from this tremendous effort is a marvel. It is beautifully constructed. Many sections are built of large stone blocks, carefully fitted together. The towers are elegant and functional. The walls are thick. In some places, they are as much as 7 meters thick. They are tall. Many sections rise more than 7 meters high. They are designed not just to keep people out, but to allow defenders to mount a sophisticated defense. There are crenellations, notches, along the top where archers can stand and shoot at attackers without exposing themselves. There are gun ports where cannons can be mounted. The wall becomes, in effect, a vast military fortress spread across the landscape. During the Ming Dynasty, the wall reaches something close to its final form. Most of the wall that tourists visit today, most of the wall that we think of when we picture the Great Wall of China, was built or rebuilt during the Ming Dynasty. The wall that has survived to the modern era, the wall that has become one of the wonders of the world, is primarily a Ming creation. Chapter 6. The construction of the wall. Now let us pause and contemplate the actual process of construction. How was such a vast structure built? What was involved? Let us imagine ourselves as a worker on the wall, experiencing what it would have been like to participate in this monumental task. It is early morning. The sun is just rising. You are part of a work gang of perhaps 20 men. You have been assigned to a particular section of the wall that is being built on the slope of a mountain. Around you, you can see hundreds of other workers, arranged in teams, each team working on a different aspect of the construction. Some teams are quarrying stone. They have identified a rock formation that can be used. They use tools to break the stone free. Some of the tools are quite sophisticated, chisels and hammers and levers. Others are simpler, just rocks used to strike other rocks. The stone is broken into roughly rectangular blocks. These blocks are crude, but they will be refined later. Other teams are hauling stone. They carry the blocks up the mountain slope, or they load them onto simple wooden carts or sleds that are dragged up the slope. This work is backbreaking. The stones are heavy. The slope is steep. The work requires strength and endurance. Men work through the heat of the day. Some collapse from exhaustion. Some are injured. Those who are too weak to continue are replaced by other workers. Other teams are laying stone. This requires skill and patience. The stones must be placed carefully. The wall is built using a technique called dry stone construction. The stones are placed one on top of another without mortar, at least in some sections. In other sections, mortar is used, a mixture of clay and other materials that acts as a kind of glue, holding the stones together. The stones are arranged so that they fit together tightly. Gaps are filled with smaller stones and mortar. Each layer is carefully constructed. The level is checked using simple tools. The work must be done correctly because the wall must stand for centuries. And over it all there are supervisors. These are officials or experienced foremen who oversee the work. They make sure the work is being done correctly. They keep track of progress. They allocate resources. They maintain discipline. If a worker is lazy, if a worker steals, if a worker causes trouble, the supervisor has the authority to punish him. Punishments can be severe, beating, reduction of rations, or worse. The work is seasonal. In winter, when the weather is harsh and the ground is frozen, construction often slows or stops. In spring and summer, when the weather is better, work accelerates. Workers are fed, but the food is often basic: rice, millet, simple vegetables, sometimes meat. Water is provided, but it is not always clean. Disease spreads easily among the workers. Men die from illness as well as from accidents and exhaustion. Yet still the work continues. Year after year, decade after decade, section after section, the wall grows, it becomes longer, it becomes higher, it becomes more complete. And slowly, as the years pass, a transformation occurs. What began as a vision in the mind of an emperor becomes a physical reality spread across the landscape. The wall is not built all at once. Different sections are built at different times. Some sections take only a few years to build, others take much longer. Some sections are built, abandoned, rebuilt, abandoned again, and finally completed only after many decades. The wall evolves. Early sections may be crude. Later sections incorporate improvements in technique and design. The wall is not uniform. It is a record of centuries of construction, with the handiwork of countless builders embedded within it. And throughout this process, the wall serves its purpose. Even as it is being built, it functions as a defense. Watchtowers are manned. Soldiers guard the gates. Trade passes through in controlled fashion. Invaders are repelled. The wall does not wait until it is complete to begin its work. It begins its work from the moment the first stones are placed. Chapter 7. Life on the Wall. Imagine now that we are standing on the wall itself. The construction has progressed far enough that sections are now inhabited and manned. We are looking out across the landscape from a high vantage point. Behind us, to the south, is the settled world of China. Cities, farms, temples, the world of civilization. Before us, to the north, is the wild. Grasslands, deserts, mountains, the world of the nomadic peoples and the unknown. The wall is not just an empty structure. It is inhabited. Men live here. Soldiers live here, stationed in garrisons at regular intervals. These soldiers are responsible for defending this section of the wall. They work in shifts, maintaining constant watch. Some stand guard at night, others rest during the day. In peacetime, life on the wall is often quiet and routine. In wartime, when there is a threat of invasion, the pace quickens. Soldiers are alert. Supplies are brought up from the garrison to support increased activity. Messages are sent along the wall or back to the capital, conveying information about threats. The watchtowers are the focal points of activity. They are spaced roughly every 100 to 200 meters along the wall. Inside each tower, there is shelter from the weather. There are storage areas where supplies, food, water, weapons are kept. There are small living quarters where soldiers sleep. Some towers are elaborate structures with multiple rooms and levels. Others are simpler, with just a basic shelter and a platform for defense. Beyond the soldiers, there are other people living on and around the wall. There are administrators and officials. There are merchants and traders who have set up small businesses near the gates. There are families who have settled in the communities that have grown up around the major gateways. There are craftspeople, carpenters, stonemasons, blacksmiths, who are employed in maintaining and repairing the wall. There are religious people, monks and priests, who have established temples and monasteries near the wall. Daily life on the wall is governed by routine and necessity. Work must be done. The wall must be maintained constantly. Any section that begins to crumble must be repaired before the damage spreads. Watchtowers must be kept in good condition. Weapons must be maintained. Supplies must be organized and stored. There is no lack of things to do. Food is a constant concern. In some areas of the wall, supply lines are reliable. Food and other goods can be brought up regularly from garrison towns to the south. But in remote sections of the wall, particularly in mountainous or desert regions, supply can be difficult. Food must be transported over difficult terrain. Provisions must be stored during seasons when supply is interrupted. Fresh vegetables are difficult to obtain. Scurvy from lack of vitamin C can afflict soldiers. Some soldiers spend years on the wall without ever eating fresh fruit or vegetables. The climate on the wall varies dramatically by region. In some sections, winters are brutally cold. Soldiers huddle in their towers trying to stay warm. In other sections, summers are scorching, with heat so intense that the ground itself seems to shimmer. In still other sections, the wall passes through areas of high rainfall. Storms can be violent. The wall must be maintained to prevent water damage. But there is also a kind of beauty to life on the wall. Men form strong bonds with their comrades. They develop pride in their work. They become part of a tradition that stretches back centuries and forward into the future. They are part of something larger than themselves. They are part of the defense of their civilization. They are part of the Great Wall. Chapter 8. Trade and the Great Wall. Now let us shift our perspective. Let us imagine we are a merchant traveling along one of the trade routes that crosses the wall. We are carrying goods, perhaps silk from the east, heading west. Or perhaps we are traveling in the opposite direction, bringing goods from distant lands back to China. For centuries, the wall serves as more than just a military barrier. It serves as an economic barrier as well. The gates in the wall are checkpoints. Merchants must pass through these gates. At the gates, officials are waiting. They inspect goods, they collect taxes, they keep records. They issue permits that allow merchants to pass through. This process can take time. A merchant might spend days at a gate, waiting for his goods to be inspected, waiting for papers to be processed. Some merchants complain about this. The taxation can be expensive. The delays can cost them money. But the system also has benefits. The checkpoints at the gates provide security. If a merchant is robbed on the road to the south, he can report to the gate officials. If there is a dispute about a transaction, officials can help mediate. The gates provide order and security to what could otherwise be a chaotic and dangerous situation. During the Tang Dynasty and the early Song Dynasty, trade flourishes. The Silk Road, a network of trade routes that connects China with Central Asia, India, and eventually the Mediterranean, becomes increasingly active. Caravans of merchants travel across these routes constantly. The Great Wall and the gates within it become critical infrastructure for managing this trade. The gates become centers of commerce. Towns grow up around the gates. Merchants settle there. Warehouses are built. Markets emerge. Some of the most famous gates on the wall become major trading centers. The gate at Jiayuguan in the western section of the wall becomes known as the Mouth of China, the place where Chinese civilization meets the outside world. Merchants and adventurers from distant lands pass through this gate. Ideas are exchanged. Goods are exchanged. This gate becomes a symbol of connection as much as separation. Yes, the wall divides the world into inside and outside, but the gates allow passage. They allow contact. They allow commerce and cultural exchange. The Silk Road trade brings wealth to China. Luxury goods flow in from distant lands. Chinese goods flow out. But the trade also brings something else: ideas, religions, artistic styles, technologies. Buddhism comes to China largely along the Silk Road. Islamic art and architecture influence Chinese design. Scientific and mathematical knowledge is exchanged. The wall, rather than preventing this exchange, facilitates it. It controls it. It taxes it. But it does not stop it. Over time, the wall becomes essential to the functioning of the Silk Road trade. Merchants come to rely on the security that the wall provides. They trust the officials at the gates. The system becomes formalized and efficient. Merchant guilds are established. Regulations are created. The wall becomes the economic infrastructure that supports one of the most important trade networks in world history. Chapter 9: Military Technology and the Evolution of Wall Defense. As we continue our journey through time, we must consider how military technology changes and how the wall adapts to these changes. This is a tale of innovation and adjustment, of a structure that must constantly evolve to remain effective against new threats. In the earliest periods of the wall, the primary weapons are bows and arrows, spears and swords. The wall is designed with these weapons in mind. The crenellations, the notches, along the top of the wall allow archers to stand behind protection and shoot at attackers. The height of the wall makes it difficult for attackers with handheld weapons to reach defenders. The thickness of the wall makes it resistant to battering attacks. But as military technology advances, the wall must adapt. The introduction of siege weapons like catapults and ballista requires new defensive strategies. Towers must be positioned to defend against these weapons. Walls must be designed to absorb the impact of projectiles. The design of the wall changes to reflect these new threats. Then comes gunpowder. This technology, invented in China, eventually transforms warfare everywhere. The cannon is developed. The musket is developed. These weapons are far more powerful than bows or catapults. They can breach walls that were designed to withstand medieval siege weapons. The wall must adapt again. During the Ming Dynasty, when much of the wall is rebuilt or reinforced, gunpowder weapons are already established. The Ming engineers design the wall with cannons in mind. They create gun ports, openings in the wall where cannons can be mounted. They design bastion towers that extend outward from the wall, allowing defenders to enfilade, to fire along the length of an attacking force. They study the mathematics of ballistics and angle their walls accordingly. The wall becomes, in a sense, a gun platform. Rather than just protecting soldiers with bows and arrows, it now protects and positions soldiers with cannon and muskets. The soldiers who man the wall must be trained not just in the traditional skills of archery and close combat, but in the new skills required by gunpowder warfare. But technology continues to advance. As artillery becomes more sophisticated, as cannons become more powerful and accurate, the effectiveness of even the improved wall decreases. By the time of the Qing dynasty, the wall is becoming militarily obsolete. Yes, it can still serve as a barrier. Yes, it can slow an invasion. But against a well-equipped modern army with modern artillery, it cannot hold for long. This reality has profound implications for the later history of the wall. Chapter 10: The Decline of the Wall. We come now to a more melancholy chapter in the story of the wall. The centuries of construction, the centuries of maintenance and defense, eventually give way to a period of decline. The wall begins to lose its military utility as military technology advances beyond what the wall can withstand. An army equipped with modern artillery can breach the wall far more easily than an army equipped only with bows and swords. The wall still exists, but it becomes less important strategically. At the same time, the political situation changes. The Qing dynasty, which takes control of China in the 17th century, eventually extends Chinese control northward and westward beyond the line of the wall. The wall no longer marks the boundary of the empire. It becomes, in some places, an internal structure rather than a frontier structure. Its raison d'etre, its reason for existing, becomes less clear. And then China encounters the outside world in a new way. European powers arrive. Trade is imposed. The traditional isolation of China is broken. The Silk Road trade routes, which had been so important for centuries, gradually decline as sea routes become more important. The wall, which controlled trade across land routes, becomes less relevant as trade shifts to the seas. During this period, the wall is neglected. Sections begin to crumble. Stones are removed by local people to build houses or walls for their own use. The wall is abandoned in many places. The garrison troops are withdrawn. The wall, which had been maintained and repaired for centuries, begins to decay. By the 19th century and early 20th century, much of the wall is in ruins. Only a few sections are maintained. Most of the wall is left to the mercy of weather and time. The wall becomes, for many people, a ruin to be forgotten rather than a monument to be remembered. And yet, even in its decline, the wall persists. The stones remain. The structure remains. The wall may be abandoned, but it is not gone. It waits. It waits for a time when it will be rediscovered, when it will be valued again, when it will be restored and preserved. Chapter 11: Rediscovery and Restoration. We move now to the 20th century. China has undergone tremendous transformation. The old dynasties are gone. The empire is gone. The nation has been reorganized. There has been war and revolution. The country has been fragmented and then reunified. Through it all, the Great Wall still stands. Initially, the wall is little valued. In the new China, the wall represents the old order, the imperial dynasties, the military empires, the systems of governance that have been swept away. There is little interest in preserving it. In some places, sections of the wall are deliberately destroyed to allow roads or railways to pass through. In other places, the wall is simply ignored and left to decay. But as the 20th century progresses, attitudes begin to shift. People begin to recognize the historical and cultural value of the wall. The wall becomes seen not as a relic of an unjust old order, but as a monument to human achievement and cultural heritage. Chinese leaders begin to speak of the wall with pride. The wall becomes a symbol of Chinese civilization. It becomes a symbol of the continuity of Chinese culture stretching back thousands of years. Steps are taken to preserve the wall. Restoration projects are begun. The most damaged and dangerous sections are repaired. Archaeology is conducted to understand the wall better. Scholars study the wall. Museums are established. The wall becomes open to the public as a tourist attraction. This restoration effort continues to the present day. Sections of the wall are continuously being restored and maintained. This is no small task. The wall is incredibly long. Restoring and maintaining it requires constant effort and significant resources. But the effort is made because the wall is recognized as being of immense historical and cultural importance. Today, the most visited sections of the wall are near Beijing, where the wall has been carefully restored. These sections are beautiful to walk upon. The stones are in good condition. The views are spectacular. Millions of tourists visit these sections every year, walking upon the wall, experiencing its grandeur, understanding something of the accomplishment it represents. But the wall extends far beyond the restored sections near Beijing. Long sections of the wall remain in their original, mostly unrestored state. These sections are less visited, but they are perhaps more authentic. They give a more honest picture of what the wall is really like, crumbling in places, incomplete in others, yet still standing, still magnificent, still impressive after centuries of exposure to wind and weather. Chapter 12. The Wall as a Symbol. Let us pause now and consider what the Great Wall has come to mean. It is, yes, a physical structure made of stone and brick and earth. It is a monument to human labor and engineering. It is a testament to the power of ambition. But it is also something more. It has become a symbol. For China, the wall is a symbol of civilization and continuity. It represents the achievement of ancient China. It represents the sophistication and power of Chinese dynasties. It represents the culture and heritage of the Chinese people. When Chinese people look at the wall, they see not just a structure, but a connection to their ancestors. They see the hands of millions of workers who toiled over centuries. They see the vision of emperors and generals. They see the history of their nation written in stone. For the world, the wall has become a symbol of human achievement. It is listed as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is recognized as one of the most impressive structures ever built by human hands. When visitors from other parts of the world see the wall, they are awed by its scale and beauty. They understand that this is something truly extraordinary. They understand that a civilization capable of building such a thing must have been remarkable. The wall also stands as a kind of symbol of division and separation. It marks a boundary. It divides one world from another. In this way, it has been used metaphorically to discuss many things: the division between cultures, the division between systems of governance, the separation between different ways of life. The wall has become a symbol that can mean different things to different people. In recent years, as the world has become more connected, the symbolism of the wall has evolved. Rather than being seen purely as a symbol of separation, it has increasingly been seen as a symbol of connection, a bridge between cultures, a place where different worlds met and traded and exchanged ideas. The wall becomes a reminder that even in times of division, connection is possible. Chapter 13. The Architecture of the Wall. Let us pause and examine more closely the actual architecture of the wall. What does it look like? How is it constructed? What makes it such an impressive structure from an engineering perspective? The wall is not uniform. Different sections have different characteristics, but there are certain features that appear again and again throughout the wall, creating a kind of architectural language that is uniquely the wall's. The most striking feature to any visitor is the sheer scale of the wall. The wall is long, incredibly long. Depending on how you measure it, including all branches and secondary walls, it stretches for more than 20,000 kilometers. That is long enough to circle the Earth more than halfway. But what impresses most visitors is not the total length, but the local scale. In any given section, the wall appears to stretch endlessly, disappearing into the distance in both directions, rising and falling with the terrain, never ceasing. The height of the wall varies, but typically it ranges from 5 to 10 meters. This makes it tall enough to be formidable. A person standing on the ground looking up at the wall is made to feel small. The wall dominates the visual landscape. It commands attention. The thickness of the wall also varies. In some places, the wall is as much as 7 or 8 meters thick. This thickness provides structural strength. It also provides the opportunity for the wall to have interior spaces, corridors, storage rooms, living quarters. The wall is not just a thin barrier, it is a substantial structure. The watchtowers are spaced at regular intervals along the wall. These towers extend upward from the wall, typically rising 2 or 3 meters above the wall itself. They provide elevated positions from which defenders can see and shoot at attackers. They also serve as places where signals can be sent, using smoke in the daytime or fire at night to communicate with other towers and with command centers to the rear. The towers are often square or rectangular in shape. Some are more elaborate, with multiple levels and complex internal structures. Others are simpler, basically solid towers with minimal internal space. The construction technique varies by region and period, but often involves large stone blocks fitted together carefully. The stones are often dressed, shaped, and smoothed to fit together more tightly. In some sections, mortar is used to bond the stones together. In other sections, the stones are fitted so carefully that mortar is not necessary. This dry stone construction can last for centuries, as long as the wall is maintained and not subjected to excessive stress. The gates are another important architectural feature. Major gates in the wall are substantial structures in their own right. They are built to withstand siege. They are often multi-chambered, with an initial gate and then inner gates providing multiple layers of defense. The gates are designed so that if an attacker succeeds in breaking through the outer gate, he finds himself trapped in a chamber where defenders can fire upon him from all sides. Some major gates are elaborate structures rising many meters high, functioning almost as their own small fortress. The crenellations, the notches along the top of the wall, are a practical defensive feature, but they also give the wall a distinctive, serrated appearance when viewed from a distance. The crenellations create a pattern of raised sections, called merlons, and gaps, called crenels. The merlons provide protection for defenders. The crenels provide spaces where defenders can shoot or observe. In some sections of the wall, and particularly in the Ming Dynasty walls, there are gun ports, openings designed specifically for cannons or muskets. These gun ports are carefully positioned and angled to provide effective fields of fire. Their presence on the wall indicates the period in which that section was built or rebuilt, since earlier walls have no such features. The wall blends with the landscape. In many places, particularly in mountainous regions, the wall follows the ridgelines and high ground. It does not impose itself artificially on the landscape, but seems to grow naturally out of it. The stonework often uses local materials, so the color and texture of the wall match the surrounding landscape. The wall looks like it belongs there. Chapter 14. Regional Variations of the Wall. The Great Wall is not a monolithic structure. Although we speak of it as the Great Wall, as if it were one unified entity, in reality it consists of many different segments, built by different dynasties in different regions, using different techniques and materials. Let us examine some of these regional variations. In the eastern sections of the wall, particularly near Beijing, the wall is often constructed of large stone blocks. These sections are well preserved today because they were maintained by the Ming Dynasty, which had its capital at Beijing. The stones are fitted together with precision. The walls are tall and imposing. These sections have become the most iconic sections of the wall, and millions of tourists visit them each year. To see the wall near Beijing is to see the wall at its most impressive and well-maintained. Moving westward, the wall changes character. In some sections, the wall is built primarily of brick. Brick provides a different aesthetic than stone. It can be more uniform, creating cleaner lines, but it is also more vulnerable to weathering. Many brick sections of the wall have suffered significant damage over the centuries. Further to the west, in drier regions, the wall is often built of rammed earth. This material is locally available and relatively easy to work with. The technique involves compacting layers of earth to create a solid mass. Properly constructed, rammed earth walls can be quite strong and durable. However, they are also vulnerable to erosion, particularly from wind and water. Many sections of the wall built of rammed earth have eroded significantly over time. In mountainous regions, the wall must navigate extremely steep terrain. In some places, the wall climbs so steeply that it seems nearly vertical. In other places, it descends just as steeply on the other side. The engineering required to build the wall in such terrain is impressive. The wall must be strong enough to resist sliding on these steep slopes. It must be built in a way that doesn't destabilize the mountainside. Some sections of wall seem almost to be climbing up the mountainside, the stones carefully arranged to follow the contours of the terrain. In desert regions, the wall presents different challenges. Water is scarce. The ground is often sandy and unstable, yet the wall must be built to endure in this harsh environment. Desert sections of the wall are often built of rammed earth, sometimes with the addition of other materials like gravel or stone. Some desert sections of the wall, because of the dry climate, are remarkably well preserved. The lack of water means there is little erosion. In some cases, sections of wall built centuries ago are nearly as intact as the day they were completed. The gateways and fortifications also vary by region. In some regions, where the threat of attack is perceived as greatest, the fortifications are most elaborate. In other regions, where the wall is primarily a barrier to minor raiding rather than a defense against major invasion, the fortifications are simpler. The major gateways, however, are uniformly impressive, no matter what region they are located in. This regional variation is one of the things that makes the Great Wall so fascinating. It is not a uniform structure, but a constantly changing one. To travel along the wall, to experience the different regional variations, is to gain insight into how different parts of China adapted to different challenges and used different resources to achieve the common goal of building a wall. Chapter 15: The People of the Wall. Throughout this journey, we have spoken of the wall in terms of its construction, its military function, its symbolic meaning. But the wall is also a human story. It is a story of the millions of people whose lives were intertwined with the wall. Let us consider some of these people. The workers who built the wall are the most obvious. Millions of them over centuries labored to create this structure. Most of them are not known by name. Their stories are lost, but we can imagine their lives. We can imagine the peasant farmer conscripted to build the wall, leaving his fields and his family to labor under the sun. We can imagine the prisoner, given the choice between execution and working on the wall, choosing to work. We can imagine the soldier, assigned to wall construction as part of his military service. We can imagine the skilled craftsman, the mason or carpenter, whose expertise made the wall possible. These workers came from all over China. They came from the wealthy eastern regions and the poorer western regions. They came from cities and from remote villages. They came with different skills, different backgrounds, different levels of physical ability. Yet they all shared a common experience, the experience of building something greater than themselves. Then there are the soldiers who guarded the wall. These men spent years, often entire careers, on the wall. They stood watch through the nights, watching for invaders who might never come. They maintained the wall against the constant wear of weather. During times of conflict, they defended the wall against actual attacks. They were not the famous generals whose names appear in history books. They were ordinary soldiers doing a duty that was often monotonous but occasionally dangerous. Yet they were part of an unbroken chain of defense stretching back centuries. Families lived on the wall. Women came to live with soldiers. Children were born on the wall. These families developed a kind of attachment to the wall. For them, it was not just a military installation but a home. They lived their entire lives there. They knew the wall intimately. They knew every stone, every tower, every gate. They developed a kind of culture that was unique to the wall. Officials and administrators also lived and worked on the wall. These men kept records. They managed supplies. They collected taxes. They made decisions about who could pass through and who could not. They were often educated men sent to the wall as a kind of administrative assignment. Some viewed it as an honor. Others saw it as an exile to a remote place. But whether they were honored or exiled, they performed their duties. They enforced the rules. They managed the affairs of the wall. There were also craftspeople, blacksmiths who made and repaired weapons and tools, carpenters who constructed and maintained buildings, masons who repaired walls, cooks who prepared food, doctors who treated the sick and injured. All of these people were part of the community of the wall. They had skills that were essential to the functioning of the wall. And then there were the merchants and traders. These people passed through the wall constantly. Some settled near the major gates and established businesses. They became part of the permanent population of the wall region. They formed relationships with the officials and soldiers at the gates. They became intermediaries between the inside and outside worlds. The merchants brought stories. They brought news of distant lands. They brought goods that were exotic and strange. They brought cultural influences that slowly seeped into China and were incorporated into Chinese culture. The wall, while it separated, also connected, and the merchants were the connection. Chapter 16: Enemies and Invasions. Throughout its history, the wall has been tested by those who sought to breach it. Let us consider some of the most significant threats and invasions that the wall faced. The most consistent threat came from the Xiongnu, the confederation of nomadic tribes to the north. For centuries, the Xiongnu were a formidable military force. They had developed sophisticated cavalry tactics. They had bred horses that were superior to anything available in the settled regions. They were a mobile, flexible force that could strike quickly and disappear. The wall was, in many ways, built in response to the threat that the Xiongnu represented. The relationship between the Han Dynasty and the Xiongnu oscillated between warfare and peace, between conflict and diplomacy. Sometimes, the Han sent tribute to the Xiongnu in exchange for peace. Sometimes, the Han attacked the Xiongnu to try to reduce their power. The wall was part of this ongoing strategic relationship. It was a buffer. It was a statement that the Han would defend their territory. It was also a barrier that allowed the Han to control the flow of trade and to limit the ability of the Xiongnu to raid Han territory. In later periods, other groups threatened the wall. The Khitans, a confederation of tribes from what is now northern China and Manchuria, posed a threat to the wall during the Song dynasty. The Jurchen, another northeastern group, threatened the wall and eventually established the Jin dynasty, controlling parts of China north of the wall for a period. But perhaps the greatest threat to the wall came from the Mongols. The Mongols, under Genghis Khan and his successors, conquered the largest land empire the world has ever seen. They had military technology and tactics that were far superior to what the wall could resist. They had cavalry that was unmatched. They had siege weaponry that was sophisticated. When they turned their attention to the wall, they were able to overcome it. In the early 13th century, the Mongols began attacking the wall. They breached it in multiple locations. Some gates fell to Mongol assaults. Sections of wall were breached by siege warfare. The Mongols demonstrated that the wall, impressive as it was, could not stop a determined and well-equipped military force. Eventually, the Mongols conquered all of China and established the Yuan dynasty, with Kublai Khan as emperor. For a time, the wall lost much of its significance because the Mongol Empire extended both north and south of the wall, and the wall was no longer a frontier barrier. However, the Mongol conquest and rule of China was eventually ended by the Ming dynasty. When the Ming came to power, they reestablished the wall as a crucial element of defense against their former conquerors. The Mongols, pushed back to the north, remained a threat. The Ming built and reinforced the wall to defend against Mongol invasion. Most of the wall that exists today was built or rebuilt during the Ming dynasty, at least partially in response to the Mongol threat. The wall proved effective at keeping the Mongols at bay. Mongol invasions and raids continued throughout the Ming dynasty, but the Mongols were never able to conquer China again. The wall contributed to this military success. It provided a barrier that forced the Mongols to concentrate their forces at specific points, the gates, rather than being able to conduct widespread raids and invasions across the entire frontier. Over the centuries, the wall faced many other enemies, various tribal groups, different confederations, eventually even foreign powers with modern weaponry. The wall could resist some of these enemies. Against others, it proved ineffective. But it was built to withstand threats, and it did, for many centuries, protect China's frontiers and allow Chinese civilization to flourish. Chapter 17: The Wall and Chinese Civilization. The Great Wall and Chinese civilization are intimately connected. The wall is not just a barrier, it is also a fundamental expression of Chinese culture and identity. Let us consider how the wall influenced Chinese civilization and how Chinese civilization expressed itself through the wall. The wall served a practical purpose. It defended and controlled the frontier, but it also served a symbolic purpose. It expressed the power of the Chinese state. It demonstrated the ability of the state to command resources on a vast scale. It showed that the state could organize millions of workers and accomplish a feat of extraordinary difficulty. The wall was a statement of power and confidence. The wall also expressed a particular view of the world. It embodied the belief that there was a civilized world inside the wall and a wild world outside. The Chinese saw themselves as the center of civilization. The wall was the line that separated the civilized world from the barbarian world. This view is evident in the Chinese name for the wall. It is called the Great Wall of China. But in Chinese, it is often referred to as the 10,000 li long wall, referring to its length, or simply as the Long Wall. The wall is a physical expression of the Chinese worldview, a dividing line between civilization and barbarism. Of course, this view was not completely accurate. The peoples to the north and west of the wall had their own civilizations, their own cultures, their own achievements. They were not simply barbarians, but for centuries, the Chinese worldview placed them outside the circle of civilization. The wall was the physical embodiment of this worldview. The wall also influenced how Chinese civilization developed. The protection that the wall provided allowed Chinese civilization to develop in a particular way. Because the wall limited major invasions, Chinese dynasties were able to focus on internal development rather than on constant defense against invasion. They were able to develop art and literature, philosophy and science. They were able to build cities and temples. They were able to pursue the refinements of civilization. Of course, there were still wars and conflicts within China itself, but the wall limited the threat of external invasion, and this allowed a particular kind of civilization to flourish. The wall also became an important part of Chinese military doctrine. The idea of using barriers and defensive lines became a central part of Chinese military strategy. Chinese military theorists wrote about the importance of defensive positions, of using terrain and fortifications to defeat an enemy. The wall was the ultimate expression of this doctrine. It was a strategic barrier designed according to principles of military science. The wall was also integrated into the Chinese bureaucratic system. Officials were appointed to administer sections of the wall. A hierarchy was established. Reports were sent back to the capital about the state of the wall. Resources were allocated based on perceived threats. The wall became part of the administrative structure of the Chinese state. It was integrated into systems of governance and control. Over centuries, the wall became deeply embedded in Chinese culture. It appeared in paintings and poetry. It was written about in historical texts. It was spoken about in legends and folk tales. It became a symbol that every Chinese person would recognize. To be Chinese, to know about the wall, to understand its place in Chinese history and culture, was part of being civilized according to Chinese standards. Chapter 18. The Wall Today. Let us bring ourselves to the present day. The wall no longer serves its original military and economic purposes. It is no longer maintained as a defensive barrier. It is no longer a customs checkpoint. The world has changed. The wall has been transformed into something new. Today, the wall is primarily a symbol and a tourist attraction. Millions of people visit the wall every year. They come from all over the world. They come to walk on the wall, to see the views from the wall, to experience something of the majesty and scale of this extraordinary structure. The most visited sections are near Beijing. The wall near Beijing, particularly the sections at Badaling and Muxinyu, have been carefully restored and maintained. These sections are beautiful. The wall is in good condition. The views are spectacular. Walking on these sections, one can get a sense of what the wall must have been like in its prime. The experience is carefully managed. There are clear paths, safety railings, facilities for tourists. It is a very different experience from walking on remote, unrestored sections of the wall. But there are many other sections of the wall that are less visited. In some regions, particularly in the remote western and northern areas, the wall remains largely unrestored. These sections are in varying states of preservation. Some are in surprisingly good condition, having been protected by the dry climate. Others have partially crumbled. Some sections are little more than piles of stones. Walking on these unrestored sections gives a more authentic sense of what the wall really is. Not just a tourist attraction, but an ancient structure that has endured centuries of weathering. Conservation efforts continue. Sections are being restored to preserve them for future generations. However, restoration must be done carefully. Archaeologists and historians must determine what the original construction looked like and try to restore the wall to that original state, rather than creating a modern interpretation. This is challenging work, because different parts of the wall were built at different times using different techniques and materials. The wall has been named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which provides some protection and ensures that conservation efforts will continue. The wall has also been designated as one of the new 7 wonders of the world, recognizing its significance on a global scale. But challenges remain. In some areas, the wall is threatened by erosion, by weather, by vandalism. In other areas, development pressures threaten the wall. Urban sprawl, highway construction, mining, and other human activities threaten sections of the wall in some regions. There is ongoing tension between the desire to preserve the wall and the desire to allow economic development. The wall has also been affected by changes in how it is used and understood. The wall's primary function is now as a symbol and a tourist attraction. But what does it symbolize? For China, it remains a symbol of national pride and cultural heritage. For the world, it is a symbol of human achievement and ingenuity. But as the world becomes more connected, as borders become less important, as cultural exchange becomes more fluid, the wall's symbolism as a dividing line has become less relevant. Instead, the wall is increasingly seen as a historical artifact, something to be preserved and studied and appreciated for what it tells us about the past. Chapter 19. MYSTRIES and SCCRETS of the Wall. Even after centuries of study, the Great Wall still holds mysteries. There are questions that historians and archaeologists continue to explore. Let us consider some of these mysteries. One mystery concerns the exact length of the wall. Different measurements give different results. Some measurements include only the main wall. Others include secondary walls and branches. Some measurements include only sections that still exist. Others include sections that have been destroyed or are completely disappeared. The figure most commonly cited is around 21,000 kilometers for the entire wall system, but this is an estimate, not a precise measurement. The true length may be different. Another mystery concerns the exact number of workers involved in construction. Historical records give estimates, but these are often contradictory and unreliable. Some sources claim that hundreds of thousands worked on the wall. Others claim that millions worked on the wall over the centuries. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but the exact number is unknown. There are also mysteries concerning specific sections of the wall. Some sections have no clear historical records explaining when they were built or who built them. Other sections have conflicting historical records. Archaeologists must investigate these sections, trying to determine the age of the construction through various methods, including analysis of the materials used in comparison with other known structures. There are mysteries concerning the reasons for the wall. We know that defense was important, but was it the only reason? Was the wall built primarily for military defense, or was there a significant economic motivation? How much of the wall was built primarily to control trade rather than to prevent invasion? These questions are still debated by historians. There are also mysteries concerning the effectiveness of the wall. How successful was it at achieving its goals? How many invasions did it prevent? How much trade did it regulate? How many lives did it save? These are difficult questions to answer. The historical record is incomplete. Different historians draw different conclusions. There are even mysteries concerning what the wall was called in ancient times. The term Great Wall is a modern construction, not an ancient one. The wall had different names at different times and in different regions. Trying to trace back these names and understand how people thought about the wall in ancient times is an ongoing project. Some mysteries are more exotic. There are legends and folk tales about the wall, stories of ghosts and spirits that haunt certain sections, stories of hidden treasures buried within the wall, stories of secret passages. Most of these are probably just stories, but some may preserve kernels of truth. Archaeology occasionally uncovers things that support or refute these legends. The wall continues to reveal secrets as archaeology advances. New sections are discovered. New understanding of construction techniques is developed through careful study. New historical documents and records are found. The wall, even after centuries of study, continues to teach us things we did not know. Chapter 20: The Wall in Literature and Art. The Great Wall has captured the imagination of artists, writers, and poets for centuries. Let us consider how the wall has been portrayed in literature and art, and what these portrayals reveal about how different people have understood and felt about the wall. In Chinese literature, particularly poetry, the wall is a common subject. Chinese poets wrote about standing on the wall and watching the sun set over distant lands. They wrote about the loneliness of soldiers standing guard. They wrote about the beauty of the wall in winter, covered with snow and ice. They wrote about the history embodied in the stones of the wall. These poems often express a sense of longing, longing for home, longing for peace, longing for an end to the conflicts that made the wall necessary. In Chinese painting, the wall has been a common subject as well. Painters depicted the wall in landscape paintings, often showing the wall as a small element within a vast landscape of mountains and valleys. This artistic convention expresses something important: the idea that while the wall is impressive from a human perspective, from a cosmic perspective, it is merely a small line drawn across the landscape. The wall is impressive, but nature is even more impressive. Chinese historical writing and philosophy also frequently reference the wall. Military theorists analyzed the wall's strategic value. Historians chronicled the wall's construction and maintenance. Philosophers reflected on what the wall meant for human civilization. In more recent times, As the wall has become known to the world, it has inspired literature and art in many different cultures and languages. Western writers and artists have been fascinated by the wall. It has been the subject of numerous photographs, paintings, and sculptures. It has inspired poetry and fiction. The wall has become a subject of universal human interest, not just a Chinese concern. The wall has also been used metaphorically in literature and art to represent many different things. It can represent the division between cultures, the separation between different peoples. It can represent protection and security. It can represent the arrogance of human ambition, attempting to control nature through sheer force of will. Different artists and writers have emphasized different aspects of the wall's meaning and symbolism. The wall has also been depicted in film and popular media. Documentaries have been made about the wall. Fiction films have used the wall as a setting. The wall has become part of global popular culture, recognized and appreciated by people everywhere. In all of these artistic and literary depictions, we see how the wall is understood and interpreted by different people in different times and places. The wall is not just a physical structure. It is also an idea, a symbol, a source of inspiration and reflection. Through art and literature, the wall continues to speak to us, to provoke our imagination, to encourage us to think about what it means and why it matters. Chapter 21: The Wall and the Modern World. We live now in a time very different from the times when the Great Wall was built and functioned as originally intended. The world has changed. Technology has changed. The way we understand borders and boundaries has changed. How does the wall relate to the modern world? In terms of practical function, the wall is obsolete. It no longer serves the military purpose it once served. The weapons and tactics of modern warfare have rendered such a wall militarily useless. It no longer serves its economic function as a customs barrier and tax collection point. Trade is now primarily carried out through ships and aircraft, and even when trade crosses land borders, it uses modern roads and infrastructure, not ancient gates in a wall. But the wall has gained importance in other ways. It has become a symbol of China's connection to its past. In a rapidly modernizing China, where ancient traditions are rapidly disappearing, the wall stands as a link to Chinese civilization as it existed centuries ago. The wall reminds people where they come from. It reminds them of the achievements of their ancestors. The wall has also become important for tourism. The wall generates significant income for China through tourism. Visitors from around the world come to walk on the wall, to photograph it, to experience it. The wall has become a resource that benefits the local economies of the regions where it stands. There is also a metaphorical relevance to the wall in the modern world. In a time when borders are often contested, when questions about who should be allowed to cross borders are politically contentious, the wall serves as a historical example of how civilizations have attempted to control borders. The wall provokes reflection on these modern issues. Some commentators have drawn parallels between the Great Wall and modern border walls. When countries build walls on their borders, some point to the Great Wall as a historical example of such structures. However, historians often point out that modern border walls serve a somewhat different purpose than the Great Wall did. The Great Wall was built over centuries as circumstances changed. It was integrated into a sophisticated system of military defense and economic regulation. Modern border walls are more often purely barriers, less integrated into a broader system of control. The wall has also been appropriated as a symbol in various political contexts. Different groups have seen in the wall different meanings. Some see it as a symbol of national sovereignty and the right of a nation to control its borders. Others see it as a symbol of the past that should not be repeated, a reminder of the futility of trying to separate peoples and cultures. Still others see it primarily as a symbol of Chinese pride and achievement. In the modern world, the wall serves primarily cultural and symbolic functions rather than practical ones. But these functions are no less important than the practical ones it served in the past. The wall connects us to history. It reminds us of the achievements of human civilization. It provokes reflection on how societies organize themselves and relate to each other. These are important functions. Chapter 22. Walking the Wall. Let us now imagine that you yourself are walking the wall. Let us experience it together, as if we are there, moving along the stones that have been walked upon for centuries. You are on a section of the wall near Beijing. It is early morning. The sun is just rising, casting long shadows across the stones. The air is cool. You can see your breath forming small clouds that dissipate into the morning air. The world is quiet. There are no other people here yet. You are alone with the wall. You place your hand on the stone of the wall. It is cold and smooth, worn by the hands of countless people who have touched it before you. The stone is old. You can feel the age in it. This stone has been here for centuries. It has experienced countless winters and summers. It has been baked by the sun and frozen by frost, yet it endures. You begin to walk along the wall. The path winds along the top of the wall, but it is narrow in places. You must be careful where you step. Your feet find purchase on stones that are worn smooth by the passage of many people. But some areas are crumbling. Pieces of stone have fallen. You must be careful not to trip. As you walk, you notice the details of the wall. You notice that the stones are of different sizes. Some are large, carefully dressed blocks. Others are smaller. Some fit together perfectly. Others have gaps between them. You can see where repairs have been made at different times. The wall is a record of centuries of maintenance and repair. You continue walking and the landscape opens up before you. Below you are mountains and valleys, fields and forests. In the distance, you can see other sections of the wall, winding over the landscape like a ribbon. The scale of the wall becomes apparent. You are standing on something vast, something that extends far beyond what you can see. You pass a watchtower. It is a square structure of stone, perhaps 2 stories tall. You climb up into it. Inside, it is cool and dark. The air smells of stone and dust. There are narrow windows where defenders would have stood to watch and shoot. You look out through one of these windows. The view is strategic. You can see far across the landscape in multiple directions. You can see potential approach routes for an enemy. You can see where signals from other towers would be visible. You understand the thinking that went into the placement and design of this tower. You come down from the tower and continue walking. The wall takes you up a steep hill. The stones become steps. You climb, breathing hard. Your legs burn with effort, but step by step you ascend. And as you climb, you understand something of what the workers and soldiers who built and maintained this wall experienced. You understand the physical effort required. You understand the challenge of building something so substantial on such difficult terrain. Reaching the top of the hill, you pause and look around. The wall extends before you and behind you, disappearing into the distance. The landscape stretches out in all directions. The scale is overwhelming. A single person, you standing on this wall, is tiny. You are dwarfed by the wall, by the landscape, by the vastness of it all. And yet, you are also part of it. You are walking in the footsteps of millions of people who came before you. You are part of the ongoing story of the wall. Chapter 23. VOICES from the Wall. Throughout this documentary, we have spoken about the wall as a historical structure, as a symbol, as an engineering achievement. But the wall is also a human story. Let us imagine some of the voices of people who lived and worked on the wall. These are not real people. The historical record has not preserved the names and stories of most people who lived on the wall, but they are the kinds of people who would have been there. Imagine a soldier standing watch on a tower at night. He is cold. The wind blows across the wall, cutting through his clothing. He has been awake for hours. His eyes are tired, but he must stay alert. An attack could come at any moment, or it might not come for days or weeks. The waiting is part of the experience. He watches the darkness before the wall, looking for any movement. He thinks about home, about the family he left behind in some distant city. He wonders if he will ever see them again. He wonders if, when his service ends, he will be alive to go home. Imagine a worker laboring on the wall's construction. He is carrying stones. The stone is heavy. His hands are calloused and bleeding. Other men around him are also carrying stones. They work in silence because talking uses energy that could be used for work. The supervisor watches them constantly. If they slow down, they will be punished. So they keep working, even though they are exhausted. They know that thousands more stones must be placed before the wall can be completed. The work seems endless. Imagine a woman who has come to the wall to live with her husband, a soldier. She has left her family and her home to be here. The wall is foreign to her. It is hard and cold and lonely. She misses the city. She misses her friends. She misses the comforts she knew. But she is here because she chose to follow her husband. She cooks for him. She mends his clothes. She keeps house in a small room in a tower. She bears children on the wall. Some of her children die. The death toll among children on the wall is high due to disease and harsh conditions. She grieves for her lost children even as she cares for those who survive. Imagine a merchant passing through a gate in the wall. He is nervous. He has goods with him, silk and spices and other valuable items. He has heard stories of officials who are corrupt who can be bribed, but he does not want to bribe anyone. He wants to follow the rules. He presents his goods to the officials. They examine them carefully. He answers their questions. Finally, they grant him permission to pass. He feels relief wash over him. He passes through the gate and continues on his way. Imagine an official spending his entire career on the wall. He has risen through the ranks. He is now an administrator in charge of a section of the wall. He takes pride in his work. His section of the wall is well maintained. The soldiers under his command are disciplined and well trained. Trade flows smoothly through the gates. He keeps detailed records of everything. He believes that his work is important. He believes that he is serving the state and his civilization. He hopes that one day his superiors will recognize his work and promote him to a position in Beijing or another major city. But years pass and the promotion never comes. Eventually, he retires from his position, having spent his entire adult life on the wall, never leaving to find greater glory. Imagine a young boy born on the wall. He has never known any other place. The wall is his home. He plays in the courtyards between towers. He learns to climb the stones of the wall. He watches his father, a soldier, perform his duties. He learns about the wall from his father. He learns to see the wall not as an amazing structure, but as a normal part of life. He learns to live with the constant wind and the extreme temperatures. He grows up knowing that he will probably spend his life on the wall, just as his father has, and his grandfather before him. These voices from the wall, though imagined, represent the real experiences of real people. The wall was not just a structure. It was a place where lives were lived, where relationships were formed, where people experienced joy and suffering, hope and despair. The wall was woven into the fabric of their lives. Chapter 24: The Future of the Wall. As we move toward the end of our journey, let us consider the future of the Great Wall. What will happen to the wall in the decades and centuries to come? The wall faces challenges. It is an ancient structure. It is subject to weathering and erosion. In some places, it is crumbling. Parts of the wall are disappearing as stones are removed by local people, or as the wall is damaged by environmental forces. Restoration efforts help, but they are expensive and cannot cover all sections of the wall. There is also the challenge of balancing preservation with development. As China modernizes, there are pressures to build roads, railways, and other infrastructure that may damage or destroy sections of the wall. There is tension between the desire to preserve the wall and the desire to allow economic development. However, the wall has become recognized as a cultural heritage site of international importance. This recognition provides some protection. The wall is unlikely to be deliberately destroyed. Efforts will continue to preserve and restore sections of the wall, but the ideal of complete restoration of the entire wall is probably not realistic. Some sections will be allowed to gradually disappear. Other sections will be preserved and maintained. The future role of the wall will almost certainly continue to be primarily cultural and symbolic rather than practical. The wall will remain a symbol of Chinese civilization and a tourist attraction. The wall will continue to inspire artists, writers, and scholars. The wall will continue to provoke reflection and imagination. As the world changes, as technology evolves, as human civilization develops in new directions, the wall will remain as a monument to a particular moment in history. It will remind future generations of how previous generations thought, how they organized themselves, what they valued, what they feared. The wall is a message from the past to the future. It is possible that future generations will understand the wall differently than we do. They may draw different meanings from it. They may ask different questions. They may use it for purposes we cannot now imagine. But the wall itself will endure. The stones will remain. And as long as the stones remain, the wall will speak. Chapter 25. What the Wall Teaches. As we prepare to end our journey, let us reflect on what the Great Wall teaches us. What is the significance of this structure? What can we learn from it? First, the wall teaches us about human ambition. The wall is an expression of tremendous ambition. Someone had a vision to build a structure so vast that it would stretch across an entire continent. That vision was pursued, despite enormous obstacles, despite countless setbacks, despite the deaths of millions of workers. The wall tells us that human beings are capable of pursuing ambitious visions. We are capable of imagining something extraordinary and working toward its realization over centuries. But the wall also teaches us about the limits of ambition. The wall was built to prevent invasions, yet it was eventually breached. The wall was built to last forever, yet it is gradually crumbling. The wall was built with the expectation that it would serve its purpose indefinitely, yet circumstances changed and the wall became less important. Ambition is powerful, but it cannot overcome all obstacles. It cannot guarantee success. It cannot make the future certain. The wall teaches us about the power of collective effort. Millions of people, working over centuries, built this structure. No single person could have done it. It required coordination, organization, the bringing together of many efforts toward a common goal. The wall demonstrates that human beings can accomplish extraordinary things when they work together. But the wall also teaches us about sacrifice and suffering. The wall was built at tremendous cost in human life and suffering. Many people died in its construction. Many people suffered in their work on the wall. The wall is a monument not just to human achievement, but to human suffering. It reminds us that great accomplishments often come at a price. The wall teaches us about the relationship between humans and the environment. The wall is built in harmony with the landscape in some ways. It follows the ridgelines, it uses local materials, but it also imposes itself on the landscape, attempting to change the way the landscape functions. The wall is a statement of human power over nature, yet the wall is also subject to nature. Weather wears it down, earthquakes damage it, rivers flood sections of it. The wall demonstrates both human power and human limitation in relation to the natural world. The wall teaches us about the way civilizations organize themselves and relate to each other. The wall represents a particular model of relationship between civilizations, a model of separation and control, of inside and outside, of civilization and barbarism. This model had powerful effects, but it also reflected particular assumptions that may not be universally true or universally good. The wall invites us to reflect on how we organize ourselves, how we relate to those who are different from us, how we draw boundaries between us and them. The wall teaches us about history. History is not just a collection of facts and dates. It is the story of real people living real lives, making decisions, experiencing consequences. The wall is history. It is a physical embodiment of history. Walking on the wall, we are walking through history. We are connecting with the past in a direct, tangible way. And perhaps most fundamentally, the wall teaches us about endurance. The wall has endured for centuries. It has weathered countless storms, countless earthquakes, countless invasions, countless changes in human civilization. It continues to stand. It continues to teach and inspire. The wall is a monument to endurance, to the possibility that some things can persist and continue to matter despite all the changes that occur around them. Chapter 26. The Wall as Metaphor. Throughout time, the Great Wall has served as a metaphor for many different things. As we reflect on what the wall means, it is worth considering how different people have used the wall as a metaphor for different ideas. For centuries, the wall was used as a metaphor for separation and division. It represented the boundary between civilization and barbarism, between the known and the unknown, between the safe and the dangerous. This metaphorical use of the wall was connected to the wall's actual function as a barrier. The wall divided the world into inside and outside. In more recent times, the wall has been used as a metaphor for human achievement and perseverance. The wall represents what human beings can accomplish when they work together toward a common goal over a long period. The wall is a monument to human ingenuity and determination. The wall has also been used as a metaphor for the past. The wall represents a connection to history, to previous generations, to the achievements and struggles of our ancestors. Walking on the wall, we walk in the footsteps of those who came before us. Some have used the wall as a metaphor for the futility of trying to stop change or prevent outside influence. Despite the wall's enormous size and strength, it did not prevent invasions. Despite all the effort invested in it, it eventually became obsolete. This metaphorical use of the wall reminds us that no barrier is permanent, that change is inevitable, that outside influences cannot be permanently blocked. Others have used the wall as a metaphor for the possibility of peaceful coexistence and trade between different peoples. While the wall was built as a barrier, it also facilitated trade and exchange. The gates in the wall allowed merchants to pass through and engage in commerce. This metaphorical use of the wall reminds us that barriers do not necessarily prevent connection. They can also regulate and facilitate connection. The wall has been used as a metaphor for cultural identity and national pride. For Chinese people, the wall represents connection to a vast historical civilization. It represents pride in the achievements of ancestors. It represents cultural identity and continuity. The wall has even been used as a metaphor for personal psychological barriers. Some people have spoken of building walls around their hearts or minds, using the wall as a metaphor for emotional protection or isolation. This metaphorical use of the wall draws on the idea of the wall as a barrier that separates and protects. All of these metaphorical uses of the wall are valid. The wall is a rich symbol that can represent many different ideas and meanings. Different people, in different times and places, will see different meanings in the wall. This multiplicity of meanings is part of what makes the wall such an enduring and important symbol. Chapter 27. Comparison with other great structures. To understand the Great Wall better, let us consider how it compares to other great structures that humans have built. The Egyptian pyramids are perhaps the most famous ancient structure. Like the Great Wall, the pyramids represent an enormous investment of resources and human labor. They are monuments to the power and ambition of ancient civilizations. However, the pyramids were built relatively quickly, over the course of a few decades rather than over centuries. The pyramids serve primarily a religious and symbolic purpose. The Great Wall, by contrast, was built over many centuries and served practical purposes as well as symbolic ones. The Roman aqueducts are another impressive ancient structure. Like the Great Wall, the aqueducts represent sophisticated engineering and enormous human effort. Unlike the Great Wall, the aqueducts served primarily a practical purpose, bringing water to cities. The aqueducts are impressive for their engineering sophistication rather than for their sheer scale. The Panama Canal is a more modern structure that involved enormous human effort and engineering achievement. The canal connects two oceans and fundamentally changed global trade. Like the Great Wall, the canal served important economic functions. However, the canal was built over a much shorter time period, using modern technology rather than ancient tools and techniques. The Great Wall is perhaps unique in being built over such an enormously long period of time, by many different dynasties using different materials and techniques, for multiple purposes including both military defense and economic regulation. The scale of the Great Wall, in terms of both its physical size and its time span of construction, is probably unmatched by any other human structure. Different structures inspire different kinds of admiration. The pyramids inspire admiration for their mathematical precision and monumental size. The Roman aqueducts inspire admiration for engineering sophistication. The Great Wall inspires admiration for persistence, for the ability of human civilization to pursue a vision over many centuries, for the sheer determination and effort required to accomplish something of such vast scale. Chapter 28: Preservation and Restoration. The work of preserving and restoring the Great Wall is ongoing. Let us consider what this work involves and what challenges it faces. Restoration work on the wall is complex and requires careful planning. Before restoration can begin, archaeologists and historians must determine what the original wall looked like. This involves studying historical documents, examining existing sections of the wall, and comparing different sections to understand the evolution of construction techniques and design. Once the original design has been determined, the work of restoration can begin. Damaged sections must be carefully repaired. Stones that have become dislodged must be reset in place. Stones that have crumbled must be replaced with new stones that match the original as closely as possible. Mortar that has deteriorated must be replaced. This work is labor-intensive and requires skilled craftspeople who understand traditional construction techniques. Different sections of the wall present different restoration challenges. Sections that are built of stone require different restoration techniques than sections built of brick or rammed earth. Sections that are in extremely steep terrain present special challenges in terms of access and safety. Sections that have been heavily damaged require more extensive work than sections that have suffered only minor damage. The restoration work must also be sensitive to the historical significance of the wall. Archaeologists want to preserve evidence of how the wall was built and used over centuries. Too much restoration can destroy important historical evidence. The goal is to preserve the wall as a historical artifact while also preventing further deterioration. There is also the question of how much of the wall to preserve. The wall is extremely long. To fully restore the entire wall to its original condition would require enormous resources. It is probably not feasible to restore every section. Decisions must be made about which sections are most important to preserve. In general, the most visited sections near Beijing have been restored most extensively. These sections serve as tourist attractions and serve important symbolic purposes as representations of the wall. More remote sections have received less restoration work. Some remote sections are left in their natural state of decay, essentially as ruins. This allows visitors who are interested in seeing the wall in a more authentic, unrestored condition to do so. The restoration work is ongoing. New sections are being restored. Restoration techniques are being refined. Archaeological investigations continue to reveal new information about how the wall was constructed and used. The wall continues to be studied and preserved as a monument of immense historical and cultural importance. Chapter 29: The Wall's Legacy. As we approach the end of our journey, let us consider the legacy of the Great Wall. What is the lasting impact of this structure on human civilization? The most obvious legacy is the physical structure itself. The Great Wall still stands. It remains one of the most impressive human structures ever built. It attracts millions of visitors each year. It continues to inspire awe and admiration. The wall itself is a legacy that will persist for as long as the stones endure. But the wall's legacy extends beyond the physical structure. The wall has influenced how people think about borders, about defense, about the organization of civilization. The wall has demonstrated that vast engineering projects are possible, that human beings can accomplish extraordinary things through collective effort. The wall has left an imprint on human consciousness. The wall has also influenced military thought and strategy. Military theorists have studied the wall, trying to understand the principles behind its construction and its effectiveness. The wall has influenced how military strategists think about defensive barriers and fortifications. The wall has influenced Chinese culture and identity. For Chinese people, the wall remains an important symbol of their civilization. It connects them to their ancestors and their history. It is a source of pride and cultural continuity. The wall has also influenced global culture. In a world that has become increasingly interconnected, the Great Wall stands as a reminder of a time when the world was more divided, when different civilizations were more separate. The wall provokes reflection on how much the world has changed and on the implications of that change. The wall has also served as an inspiration for artists, writers, and thinkers. The wall has inspired countless works of art and literature. The wall has appeared in poems and paintings, novels and films. The wall has captured the human imagination and continues to do so. Perhaps most importantly, the wall is a legacy that teaches us about ourselves. The wall teaches us about human ambition, human achievement, human limitation, human suffering, and human endurance. The wall teaches us about how civilizations organize themselves and relate to each other. The wall is a mirror in which we see our own humanity reflected. Chapter 30, Conclusion, The Gentle Descent. And so we come to the end of our journey. We have walked along the Great Wall of China, through the centuries, through the stories of the people who built it and lived upon it, through its transformation from a practical barrier to a historical monument and symbol. The wall stands before us now in all its magnificence and decay. Some sections are beautifully preserved, others have crumbled, but the wall endures. It has endured for centuries and will continue to endure for centuries more. As we prepare to drift toward sleep, let us carry with us the lessons of the wall. Let us remember the ambition that drove its construction. Let us remember the sacrifice and suffering of the millions who labored on it. Let us remember the soldiers who stood watch, the merchants who passed through its gates, the families who lived within its towers. Let us remember that human beings are capable of extraordinary achievement. We are capable of creating things of lasting beauty and significance. We are capable of pursuing visions over centuries, even when those visions cost us dearly. But let us also remember the limitations. The wall could not stop all invasions. It could not prevent history from changing. It could not make the future certain. What we build, however magnificent, is temporary in the grand scheme of time. Let us remember that connection and separation are both part of human civilization. The wall separated, yes, but it also connected. It brought people together. It regulated trade and exchange. It allowed different worlds to meet and interact. As you rest now, as your eyes grow heavy and your thoughts become dreamlike, know that the wall continues its vigil. Even now, even in this moment, the wall stands watch over the landscape. The stones remain. The wind blows across the crenellations. The seasons turn, and the wall endures. Perhaps someday you will walk upon the wall yourself. Perhaps you will place your hand on stones that have been touched by countless hands before you. Perhaps you will stand on the wall at sunset and watch the light fade across the vast landscape. And perhaps in that moment, you will feel the connection to all the people who have come before, the builders, the soldiers, the merchants, the families, all of whom left their mark on this extraordinary structure. For now, though, let yourself rest. Let the wall fade into your dreams. Let your mind wander through the valleys and over the mountains, along the endless curve of stones that represents one of the greatest achievements of human civilization. The wall is old, it has stood for centuries, and it will stand for centuries more. It is patient, it knows that it has time, and so can you. You have time to rest. You have time to sleep. You have time to dream. I hope this journey through the Great Wall has brought you peace and wonder. I hope it has sparked your imagination and lifted your spirits. I hope that, as you drift toward sleep, the Great Wall accompanies you in yo.